Make sure that the bottom of your clay is round before you put it on your wheel, okay? Also, I'm going to teach you how to slap center. Slap centering for a large piece of clay. You slowly spin your wheel, and I'm kind of going down and in. This will help you get it mostly on center before you actually start centering. If you don't know how to cone up, you definitely need to be working on coning up. I can never get this little part when I'm coning down, so I just take my finger and try to get that taken care of. Work on controlling your water. Center hole. For some reason I'm throwing bigger. At this point I scoot my butt back and use all my fingers to go down. Fill that up with water. And then pull that back towards my left hand.
Are you still mostly using like your middle finger?
I am. This finger is what's touching, but everything else is giving me support. Flatten that floor. All of your bases for this project need to have a flat bottom. We're not trimming these by turning them upside down. We're not trimming feet. We're trimming them just like, well, like we did on the wheel for cylinders. We're just learning how to do a curve this time. So flat floor, 90-degree angle. Now, when you're throwing bigger, there's this kind of claw method for your first pull. Inside finger here and your thumb here. And I use my sponge over my thumb. And watch how much I can get out of this first pull. That's the only time you can do that claw method because now it won't work. But it's kind of a cool method to try. Make sure at the bottom that you're squeezing these two fingers together. Don't just squeeze here and push this one in. Let these fingers, because you want this to get thinner and thinner at the bottom. You can see I'm kind of using the side of this finger instead of this right here now, because I really got some strength. And nicely off center, that's beautiful. When you go to choke your pot, you have to like put your thumbs and fingers together like you're actually choking something, not like this, not like this. Okay, you want your hands to be as far around the pot as possible. So see how my hands are touching as much as possible. Then when I get up here, I flip this finger over the rim. That kind of helps. I'm a little off my throwing game. Okay, so this is about 11 inches. I'm gonna throw it one more time just so you can actually, as you learn to throw things like if they get off center, you can throw them a little bit back on center. This is what I'm gonna try to do right now. Other thing you can do if you're kind of wobbling there is you can take a rib. You gotta bring that up really slow. This kind of helps strengthen your clay. Get rid of that wobble. I'm supporting it on the inside. What happens if you don't get the water out the inside? It cracks, or if there's so much water on the inside, it will actually dissolve the whole bottom of your pot. Okay. So now I'm gonna do the belly. So when you're doing the belly, you're gonna come up a little bit like a cylinder. So inside fingers are above. And then when you want to belly out, you're gonna transition to a bowl finger position. So your inside fingers are below so that you can belly that out. And then when you wanna come back in, you transition back to cylinder fingers so you can come back in, okay? So the key is to make it tall and proud is to not start bellying until you're up here. I like to look at this and say like, okay, if my belly is gonna be from here to here, it's the point that's gonna go out the furthest will probably be about here. So I can kind of imagine this curve, belly, the outmost belly here, and then goes back in. I want to make sure that it's wet. So I'm coming up first. Now I'm transitioning to bowl. We want that natural curve. Pushing that clay out with my inside hand. Now I'm going to transition back to cylinder. Okay, so there's the beginning of my belly. I'm going to go back in here and kind of straighten it up, get a nice curve. No sudden movements. So when I'm doing this, my inside hand is below, so I can have that belly pop out. You want to make sure you leave your rim somewhat thick. I like to take my pincher fingers and flatten this out a little bit, because remember, you guys have to attach another piece right here, okay? So don't let that rim get thin, which is what people typically do. Now I'm gonna trim. So before we trimmed just straight, now we're going to trim to follow this curve. And you can do this as many times, mostly, as you need to. So I just got kind of the beginning off, but I don't like that transition. So I'm gonna go back in here. Curving it in. Ooh, that was quite the curve. So you guys see the difference there between your cylinders and your vases? That also helps make them tall and proud, finish the form, and to get rid of that extra weight. Those of you that are throwing bigger, make sure that your undercut is also bigger, so that it's proportionally appropriate for the size of your pot. You should not be able to see the undercut. If it's at like a 30-degree angle, you should just be able to see the effects of it being floating up, not the actual cut thing right there. But to cut the rim off, I don't really have to do it on this one, but you're gonna take your pincher fingers, you're gonna put your needle tool, that thumb, and you're gonna slowly go in, slowly, 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 until you hit your finger, and then you're gonna pop it off. So this is what it looks like. You would do it at 6 o'clock, I'm gonna do it over here. So I'm holding onto it, I'm tight, so then you just pop it off in between those fingers, and you have a flat rim again. Beginning two, I would definitely have a thicker rim than this, if I were you. You want to keep this on the bat. It'll make attaching the two easier when you're ready. For this smaller part, the neck part, second part, I would just use the green bats. There's a part that comes up right here. Just take some clay on the side that comes up and kind of mash it down. So with my calipers, you're going to measure. You got to get right on top of this, so you're measuring it. You're gonna measure the exterior width, but make sure it's here. If it's anywhere but the center, you're gonna get the wrong measurement. Tighten it up with the wing nut. I always measure it again, and then put it someplace where it's not gonna get messed up. Now, that measurement is going to be the bottom measurement of this pot. And this pot, I'm gonna throw without a floor. But I'm gonna teach you a little trick. Because when you throw without a floor, sometimes like the wall isn't enough to stay attached to the bat. Okay, first of all, let me back up and say, I'm gonna get this about that size, okay? This is fine. I'm going to put my center hole all the way down to the bat. Put water in there. I'm gonna pull this floor, and then I'm gonna come up a smidge. If you look inside here, there's no floor, but there's kind of like a ring. So see how there's no floor, but there's a ring right here? That ring is gonna help it stay on the bat, hang on to the bat. You guys can come look when I'm done here. I will cut that ring off before I put it on there, okay? So now I'm gonna pull this part. That's one pull. Pushing inside and outside so those walls become thinner. I'm gonna do, I still try to throw in 3 pulls. So I would be a little bit more comfortable if it was a smidge bigger here. I'd rather have it be bigger than smaller. If it's a little bit bigger, then I can trim off the extra, where if it's smaller, it's harder to do much. I'm gonna push it out a smidge down here. I want these to be about the same thickness. You know, don't make one really thin and the other one really thick. So I'm gonna measure that again. Okay, and then Helena asked how to make it go out. This is just on a bigger scale. Okay, so if you're gonna, yours was like this. So you're gonna take this and just go to where it needs to be done. And you're gonna slowly start bringing that rim out. So I'm supporting it on both sides. And I'm slowly bringing the rim out. And you could do that. You can do this more or have it bigger, but just make sure you keep with a natural curve, otherwise it's gonna fall. Okay, so this is leather hard. This is the same leather hard. You're gonna take your scoring tool and you're gonna score this. And I actually like to go both ways. Don't do chicken scratches, like really get in there. And then you can take the magic water, or you can use slip, but if we have magic water, I recommend that. I'm just putting a little bit in there, like so. I actually like to score a little bit more, and then I'm going to score this part. And see how I can touch this and it's not moving, but it's still considered, it's still wet. It's similar to how it would be a little bit before you would trim a bowl. And now I'm gonna go the opposite direction. I wanna make sure this is centered. So just like you're centering a bowl. And then I'm gonna start pressing this down. And this is why I don't mind if I have a little bit too much, because I can press this in to the bottom. Again, we really want to work these 2 pieces of clay in. It's nice if it's on the wheel because you can just turn your wheel as you're working those two pieces of clay in. Now this is where if you wanted to, you could put a coil here, or if you needed to, if there's a big gap on the inside, put a coil on the inside, so just screw a coil on. Now, you can go in and you can trim that joint. And the way I designed this, I tried to design it so I can disguise this connection with that pattern. So we'll see if it works out for me. Your goal is for people to not be able to tell where you attach these. All right, so I'm gonna work on this a little bit longer till I get it exactly how I want it. 12 inches or taller, thrown in two pieces. You make sure it's undercut, cut it off, finish it up, and that's it. Do you guys have questions?